She would get too jealous.
Hello everybody, it's Aaron from Screen Stars here once again to do another review for Geek Legion of Doom, and today I am reviewing the horror movie Hell's Kitty. And this is a movie that is based on the life of a guy called Nick, who lives in a flat with his cat, who the cat may or may well not be possessed by some demonic entity. And this film explores that. And essentially, the best I can figure and I didn't know this watching it because it was quite bizarre to watch, is I think this film has been cut together from a series of webisodes or a web series from some years ago. And the reason why I say that is just from doing a little bit of research, but also the way the characters look in the film. Like in one scene, the guy that plays Nick will look a certain way, and then the next scene he'll look slightly different. He'll look slimmer even, or his hair will be slightly differently, or that sort of thing. So it was quite jarring to watch in that sense, but it made sense to me more when I did a little bit of research afterwards and figured out that this was the case. Now, so what is this movie about? Well, essentially, it's what I said at the beginning. This guy Nick has a cat that will not allow him to have any kind of female relationships in his life. And every time there is a female relationship in his life, and sometimes a male that might come into his life, never ends well. Certainly for the females. And they're lucky if they get out of the flat in one piece, put it that way. And it's hard to follow because sometimes he thinks he's dreaming it, sometimes you're not sure if it is, and then there's red herrings thrown into the film later on by his neighbour, who has some kind of weird crush on him. It claims that he planted some things in the flat to make him think his cat was killing people. So it throws a lot of red herrings at you, essentially, this movie, but the upshot of it is it's like The Exorcist with a cat, but with a much smaller budget and less imagination and less talent. Now, ironically, this film has quite a lot of talent involved in it. It's got, for example, it's got Doug Jones in it, who you'll know, from Hellboy and a lot of the Guillermo del Toro movies, things like that. And the concept itself is quite interesting, and they do try and add a bit of humour in here. Not that it particularly works well. It is funny, this movie, but not in the way they intended. This is one of those movies, I'll be honest, it's not a good movie, this. It really, really isn't. But if you can get over that hurdle, it's one of those movies that you can sit down with your mates, crack open a few beers, watch and have a real giggle at. It's one of those movies. It's like The Room, this movie. The movie that was immortalised recently with the James Franco thing. It's a bit like that. It's so bad, it's good. Now, there are some movies that I've watched in the last couple of years that have been really, really bad, and there's nothing redeeming about them, really, or very, very little. Now, this film has some redeemable qualities. It is quite charming. There is some quite good effects in it, surprisingly. There's some quite beautiful women in it. There's quite scantily dressed women in this movie. If that's your sort of thing, it's because it's kind of an excuse to put a lot of beautiful women in this movie. It doesn't make any sense, this movie, and that's, like I say, probably because it's been cut together from a web series. It doesn't have any tangible story to speak of, and it's just completely bonkers. It makes no sense, but it's hilarious to watch at the same time. You can't really take your eyes off it. You have to watch it. It's one of those so bad it's good movies. So if that's your sort of thing, you're going to have a blast with this movie, but I can't genuinely recommend it as a piece of filmmaking to watch for you to enjoy, because it's poorly made, it's poorly written, it's poorly edited. You know, there's lots of negatives, but there are positives in there too. So if this is your sort of horror film, a bit of a campy, low budget horror, then there's things here to be enjoyed, but please be warned, this isn't a good movie. But it is a movie that you are likely to have quite a lot of fun with when you watch. I certainly did. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed watching it, and that says a lot to me, because if a movie's bad but I still enjoyed it, then there's something there for me to enjoy. So for me, guys, as I'm going to rate this, I'm going to be reasonably generous and give it a 4 out of 10, and that's really because I had a bit of a laugh with this film and a bit of a giggle. It has an original concept, but completely bizarre, completely bonkers, makes no sense, has no story to speak of. But, you know, demonic cats, what's not to like there? And see if you can spot the celebrities in this movie. Thanks for watching.